spirituality as much as possible, especially in the month of Ramadan. But I think it's very important to. A lot of people do ask us, and we will speak about it in detail once we come back later on. But I think a lot of people do ask us that why do we need to fast, and why do we pray? And of course, our normal answers as Muslims are that because it's good for discipline, and it's good. We fast because we feel other people's hunger or pain or whatever that is. So I think one of the very important answers that we've got to understand and start telling people is that the reason we fast and the reason we pray is because the God Almighty told us to do so, and that is it. So anything beyond that, of course, it's an added advantage. Whether it's good for discipline or if it is good for our to feel other people's pain, that's a different thing. But then, because we have been asked by God Almighty to do it, then that's the reason we do it. So that's going to be a bit of our discussion later on today. We are going to be speaking in detail about how we can get the most out of the blessed month of Ramadan, which we've entered today. A lot of our brothers and sisters are starting tomorrow. Well, that is all good, and inshallah we bless them, and of course we wish them all the best. So we are going to be speaking about, like I said, the month of Ramadan. You are listening to Revive FM. Our studio number is 0333 444 0940, and I would ask you to, of course, while I'm talking and generally discussing things, do dial in and speak to us. You can speak to us live, and the number again, I'll repeat, is 0333 444 0940. We're also on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Mixlr, LR, and TuneIn, and our web address is revivefm.co.uk. So we'll just go on a very, very quick break, and then when we come back, like I said, we will speak a bit more in detail. I will be doing most of the talking unless and until, of course, you guys who are listening to us and perhaps looking at me to, you can call in and speak to us directly and ask us questions as well. So just very, very short break, and then we will come back to you. Thank you.
الصلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول الله الصلاة والسلام عليك يا حبيب الله As I read how the companions honored you, as I read how the companions honored you, little do I feel I have to offer you. Little do I feel I have to offer you. الصلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول الله الصلاة والسلام عليك يا حبيب الله If I were to sit tonight and send you peace, if I were to sit tonight and send you peace, while they sleep would your attention follow me? While they sleep would your attention follow me? الصلاة والسلام عليك يا رسول الله الصلاة والسلام عليك يا حبيب الله
My heart is so full of longing. I wish to be close to my beloved. I dream to walk in the streets of Medina and to quench the thirst of my spirit by visiting you, O Muhammad. Assalamu alayka ya Rasul Allah. Assalamu alayka Habibi.
Assalamu alaikum again. Good afternoon or good evening, everyone. This is your host, Salman Mujtaba, and you're listening to the Drive Time Show on Revive FM. Our studio number is 0333440940, and this is the number you can contact us on and speak to the studio and myself directly. Like I said, my name is Salman Mujtaba. I'm going to be your host for this Drive Time Show. I'm not a professional at this, so do call in and tell us if we can make this Drive Time Show better. And of course, we look forward to your calls and your engagement with us. Before we went on the break, we were just very, very briefly touching on, of course, the blessed month of Ramadan, which has just started. Today is, for a lot of people, today is the first day of fasting. We are going to be, inshallah, breaking a fast in the next few hours, and there are others as well, other brothers and sisters who are perhaps going to start fasting tomorrow. So all the best to them as well. And before we went on break, we were talking about how we can benefit from this very, of course, blessed month, and what we can do and what we should be doing, inshallah, to better ourselves, to make ourselves a better person, make ourselves a better neighbor, a better son, a better daughter. So this is what we were talking about. So incidentally, I attended this discussion, the speech from a very well-known person, and it was about 45 minutes, 60 minutes discussion that we were having, and I was the things that he spoke about, which came out as very, very sort of normal, some things that he would not discuss in normal circumstances, but then the way he explained that to the audience was quite sort of mind-boggling, because you don't discuss them, you don't talk about them, you just say, yes, this is what we do, we are Muslims when we do them. But in reality, we don't do them. In reality, I think we are, we shy away from them. We probably are not as frequent in the things that we want to do, and as better Muslims, as better civilians, as better nationals of whatever country you are, I think we need to do them. So the show today, the Drive Time Show, it's going to be about very, very quickly, in the time we've got, we're going to speaking about the things that we can do to make our Ramadan better, inshallah. So there are about 8 or 9 things that I'm going to be speaking about, very briefly touching, but of course if there is a phone call that comes in, that makes it easier for me as well, because we have a two-way discussion, and I'm also I can also identify that there are people listening to me, and I'm not just talking to myself or at my studio. So if you do want to call in, like I said, the number is 0333440940. And you can call in and speak to us directly, and of course we can have a discussion on what we are talking about today. So the month of Ramadan, which I said earlier, of course we started. What is this month? So the month of Ramadan, there are some items that we're going to sort of, like I said earlier, talk about very briefly. It's a month of the Quran. It is the month of reflection. It is the month of mercy. It's a month of forgiveness. It's a month of correction. It's a month of connection. It's a month of charity. It's a month of change, it's a month of purity, and it's a month of taqwa. So let's, what I said, perhaps, you did not pay attention to it. So I'm just going to sort of speak a bit more about it. So we all, and including myself, we better understand, inshallah, what we can how we can benefit from this month. So the month of Ramadan is the month of Quran. So it is the month where the Quran was completed and revealed to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam over the course of 23 years, and of course this is when it was completed, it was given, and it of course there's a very famous verse from the Quran as well, that today I complete my religion upon you, and that is at the completion of the Quran which was given. So this is the month where perhaps 1.6 billion people study this book, which has been as it is for the last 1400 odd years. There has been no change. People read it, people understand it, people interpret it, but then the book has been there for that long amount of time. So it's a very, very, very special month. This book has changed people. This book has made better humans, better people, better neighbors, better sons, better children. So it's a very, very special month. So this is the month where the Quran was revealed. So it's a very special month, like I said. So it's also a month of reflection, my brothers and sisters. Reflection of what? I think it's a month of reflection. When I look at it, when I talk about the word reflection, I think it's there are a lot of people out there who reflect on what they have done. When you look at personal reflection or self-reflection, I think you look at yourself and you say, okay, what have I done in the last whatever, when I'm going to bed, for instance, I'm giving you as an example, if I go to bed at night, okay, so what have I achieved today? What was it that was the highlight of my day that I can sort of think about, reflect on, maybe remember, maybe share with somebody else, the next day. So that's what reflection is. So for us, in the month of Ramadan is a month of reflection, because it helps us perhaps identify and reflect on what we have done in the last 11 months before, we entered the month of Ramadan in 2019, for instance. So if I perhaps talk about my own experiences, if I talk about my own achievements or attainments or failures in last year, so it's been a very, very tough ride for a number of people, including myself, because there are things that you have done in the past, which you have not perhaps thought through, but then they have sort of, so to speak, bore fruit later part of life, and for me personally, it's been a tough year, because some of the things that I was working on have not worked out as well, but on the other hand, I think it's been a very, very good year, because I've perhaps achieved something which I did not think would sort of materialize as quickly as they have. So it's a month of reflection. So I think it is very important, especially in today, starting today. Perhaps it should have been starting last night, till the end of Ramadan. We all reflect on what we have achieved in the last last 11 months. But how we can perhaps make a change in our life. For instance, I'll give you another example. If we are, all of us, for whatever reason, maybe are unable to pray 5 times a day. So maybe it's a good start, a good month for us to maybe make a change. Maybe say, okay, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to start praying at least twice. We all should be praying 5 times. We all know that, but for whatever reason, so we should be able to start making a change in our life. Let's again. I'm I keep on repeating the word reflection. So let's see what you have not been able to do in the last 11 months. And maybe even make a short list of things that you want to change. Maybe, like I said, maybe start fasting, start praying more regularly. Maybe, make sure that, you start saving for Hajj. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's something that will make you a better person, inshallah. So that's what you want to do. But this month should be a good starting point for us. So I'll give you an example. Actually, I set up myself as well, and which I said, I've got this habit, unfortunately for like a lot of people, that I would try my best and inshallah try and finish the Quran during the month of Ramadan as much as possible, but past the day of Eid al-Adha, I would probably not open the Quran again, and I'm being very honest here, but I think what I've inshallah thought of doing is that inshallah starting even past Ramadan, I'm going to make sure that I read one page of the Quran every day, and not just read it, because I think that's one of the things which us as a community do, is that we read something, especially in Arabic, in a foreign language, which we perhaps don't understand at all, or maybe if we do, we just relate it to a few of the words in Arabic, because they come in our cultural language, maybe Farsi, maybe Urdu, maybe Punjabi, and we just try to comprehend what the Quran is saying. So I think one of the things we need to do is read that one page, but read that page in a way that we understand every single word that we read. It should not be that, oh, I've just read the Quran, I've finished this page in whatever, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. No, I really think we as a community needs to understand also that we have to understand what God is trying to, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is trying to tell us. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not wanting us to just read what He says, it's very important that we understand what He's trying to tell us. Just like perhaps many other languages out there, every word has multiple meanings, and if you do not understand the right meaning of that word, the whole sentence will change. The dynamic of that statement changes. So it's very, very important that we try and read, but understand and read. So inshallah, there are a number of things that we all can do. So it's this is just a second inshallah target for us. It should be a month of reflection, like I said, on ourselves, on what we need to do, how we need to achieve things, and how can we make our coming year better for all of us, not just for ourselves. We should not be selfish, but I think especially people around us, our families, our wives, our children, our husbands, anyone that's within our sort of who's affected by our existence. So I think we should be very, very careful. So that should be a month of reflection. The next is month of mercy. This was a very, very interesting one, because from where I picked up these topics, the brother, a very good friend of mine, a month of mercy. So his take on this was, and to some extent I agreed with him as well, was that we should be strong enough to be to forgive anyone for anything, and just somebody says, even if somebody doesn't apologize, say, just in your heart forgive him, and go to sleep in content. And he quoted a very, very, very sort of personal example to me on that day. He said, there was this somebody, so this gentleman, let's say call him Ahmed. So Ahmed, he's quite well known, and Ahmed was in the car park of a shopping center one day, but somebody approached him and said to him, Ahmed, listen, I want to apologize to you. And Ahmed says, listen, I don't even know you. So Ahmed, this guy said, no, you don't know me, but I know you, and I want to apologize to you. Please forgive me. And Ahmed says, okay, I forgive you, whatever you've done. So can you tell me who you are, what you've done? He said, okay, I am this person, but you don't know me. But I've been spreading rumors about you. I've been spreading fake news about you. I've been telling people wrong things about you. And I cannot sleep at night, and I want you to forgive me. And Ahmed said, okay, so you're saying that has not affected me, and you're saying that and me not knowing has not affected me, so this wouldn't affect me as well, but anyway, nevertheless, I forgive you. So the point he was trying to make, and the point I'm trying to make perhaps as well, is that we should be strong enough to forgive anyone for anything. And this is the very sort of touchy subject I'm going to start on is, within our communities, when I say communities generally, I mean maybe the Asian communities from sort of back home, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, these kind of countries, perhaps in other sort of other countries as well, is that the once we have maybe in certain circumstances, certain cases, we are very I think very against our own family members, our own brothers, our own sisters. Somebody has done a little bit more than yourself. There's a lot of jealousy, there's a lot of envy, there's a lot of hatred, and which is not good generally for us, but then even spiritually it's not good for you. So and this again, I'm saying all this keeping myself on the pedestal first. I'm not saying just this to yourself, to the listeners or to the viewers, but I think we should be able to be we should be strong enough to forgive anyone and accept people the way they are. I know so many families, unfortunately, within my circle of friends, circle of family, is that because somebody has done better than yourself, you would be talking ill about them, until there is no tomorrow. You would be sort of saying all sorts of things which may or may not be true. Now imagine the amount of hatred, the amount of fake news, the amount of rumors that you're spreading because of your perhaps your envies towards this person, and I think we should be able to control that. Again, this is a very, very good month of doing that. Of course, it's a month of mercy, like I said earlier, but it's also a month of forgiving, which was my next point, month of mercy, and then of course it comes very quickly and very nicely down to month of forgiveness. So once you have this mercy within yourself, and you say, listen, I don't give a damn. I'm going to forgive this person for whatever he's done, or I'm not just going to forgive this person, but May God Almighty, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for this guy, whatever he's going through. Now that takes a very, very big man, and I'll give you an example. This young man that I know, and he's been struggling with himself for some time, and because he's a pretty good student, he's been doing well in his studies, and I'm talking about this sort of late teens guy, 17, 18-year-old guy. So he's been doing pretty well, but then he's recently he came to me and I said, Uncle, this is I'm facing this problem. And I just I blame my dad and I blame my mom for this, because of them I'm in this, and I asked him, I sort of inquired, I investigated. I said, listen, what is the problem? What are you facing? What is it that you're going through? And he told me, and unfortunately I think it's this resentment within himself. And imagine this is a 17, 18-year-old son, and talking about his parents. So there is this resentment in him that his parents have not been able to, or he was unable to get sufficient love from his parents. And I said, okay, so what do you mean by sufficient love? And he said, oh, because I wanted to buy branded goods, and my parents would not, especially my dad, would not do it. And I said, okay, so I mean, did your dad or mom buy these branded goods for your other siblings? And he said no, because they didn't want it. And I said, okay, so are your parents well off? And he said, no, they're not well off. I said, okay, so what's the problem? He said, oh, because I wanted branded goods. I want to wear branded items because my peers in school, whatever, they wear branded items, so I want to be able to do that as well. I said, okay. So we left the conversation at that, but then I was reflecting on what he had said, and me being, of course, a parent myself, and I was thinking, okay, so what is it? What should be a role of a parent? Generally, I'm talking about, and this is again, I'm talking about the month of mercy and month of forgiveness here, but I think it links in quite nicely. Is a parent's role is to provide three things to their children, or to the people they are responsible for. So one is, of course, your housing. Then is your shelter, clothing, and food. So as long as these three things, which are shelter, food, and clothing, is provided, anything else is a luxury. So for the siblings, for whoever the person is the guardian for. So anyway, we have a lot to talk about. So we will continue. So month of mercy and month of forgiveness. It's a month of correction, my brothers and sisters. So month of correction. So what are you correcting? You're correcting yourself. So once you have forgiven somebody, you have been very merciful. You have forgiven somebody, but also you have got. When I say you, all of us have got shortcomings within ourselves. So we should be able to correct ourselves. We should be able to identify. We should be able to accept, before even identifying, accept that there is a problem, and then, of course, identifying and, of course, correcting ourselves. So once you have done that, trust me, my brothers and sisters, so many things. One of the things, especially as maybe it's in every community everywhere, but us as humans, I think we are one species that will never or very hardly accept that I have done something wrong. I was wrong in doing this. Let me correct myself. Let me ask for forgiveness. Let me say sorry. And unfortunately, it is such a big problem, because the more in denial you are, the more against the tide you're going, the harder it gets for you. The earlier you and I are able to accept and say, listen, I was wrong. This was my fault. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Trust me. You would be able to throw so much burden off your shoulders, and so quickly. You would be amazed. You would feel so good about yourself. And I'm learning every day myself, brothers and sisters. When I speak to people, when I go and with my wife, with my children, with my cousins, whatever they are, when I speak to people, it is difficult for me as well. And when I make a mistake, and they identify and say, okay, you've made this mistake, you are blah 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 whatever. So yes, I should be able to say to them, listen, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I hope you will forgive me for that. And it's what's the worst they can do? Yeah, you shouldn't have done it. Yeah, I told you so. Okay, fine. Thank you very much. I mean, that's the only thing they can say. It's like I said. It's perhaps easier said than done for a lot of people. But I think we if we are able to start practicing and focusing on doing this and say, okay, I'm going to try and correct myself. I'm going to try and identify, and all of this what I've spoken about in the last 30 odd minutes, my brothers and sisters. We should. This is a very, very good initiative that we can start in the month of Ramadan. Because what it does is it gives us a starting point, it gives us as an end point, in fact, because once we have we've spoken about month of the Quran, month of reflection, month of mercy, month of forgiveness, month of correction so far in this program, in this drive time show. So we are talking about these things that we can implement and initiate in the month of Ramadan. So today being the first day of Ramadan, I think this is what we can start off with, and of course, if we correct ourselves, be more forgiving, be more merciful, be able to self-reflect, read more of the Quran. I think that would be a very, very good starting point for all of us. Now we will move on from there, because the last item we spoke about was the month of correction, but we will also speak about the month of connection. So mind the word. So one was what we spoke about earlier was a month of correction. Now we're going to be speaking about the month of connection. So who are you connecting with? You are connecting with of course. In fact, let me tell you something very interesting, and I spoke about this very briefly with a group of friends at a lunch that we were having a few days ago. So we were talking about what should we be doing to attain spirituality? What can we do? And one of the things that I've learned over the last few years, and I'm learning every day. I'm a student. I ask people questions. People tell me things, and I try to learn from them. I try to learn from my youngers and my elders, everyone I can. So one of the things that I learned very recently in the last few years is that us as humans, all of us, whether irrespective of faith, we've got two obligations. We have got two rights. So us as humans and us as people, us as coming from whatever walk of life, whatever country that we've come from originally. So we've got. Of course, the rights of the Creator. So the Creator who is up there, the God Almighty, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala, the Creator, has rights over us. But His creation has rights over us as well. So listen to this carefully. So we've got the rights of the Creator, but we've also got the rights of the creation. So the rights of the Creator, my brothers and sisters, is simple. Simply said, rather. So it's the rights of the Creator is that, okay, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala has asked me to pray 5 times a day, which I'm going to do. He has asked me to pray in the month of Ramadan, which I'm going to do. He's asked me to, minus a shahada I'm saying, so he's asked me to pray, give my zakat of 2.5%, which I'm going to do, inshallah. And he's asked me to go for Hajj if I can afford it. So these are the 4 obligations or 4 rights of the Creator over me. He has said, you've got to do this for me. Okay, so again, I'll repeat, minus the shahada. So we've got to pray 5 times a day, inshallah. We've got to fast in the month of Ramadan. We've got to give 2.5% zakat of our savings. And we've got to go for Hajj if we can afford it. That's the only right Allah Subhanahu wa Taala has given us, saying you have got to do this. Now when it comes to the right of the creation, my brothers and sisters, it is this is going to be a difficult one. So so the rights of the creation is that, listen, I'm not going to lie to my neighbor or the people around me. I'm not going to cheat my neighbor or people around me. I'm not going to be sinister. I'm not going to be evil to anyone. So the rights of the creation is that you have got to be, in a nutshell, you've got to be a very, very human being, very good human being. Now the important part, and of course we are talking about the month of connection here, so I'm just going to relate this to what I've said earlier. So you've got, of course, the rights of the Creator. So the right of the Creator, of course, like I said earlier, these were the rights of the Creator. So let's say if you don't do them, and this is very important for us to understand, if we don't do them, on the day of judgment, God might say, okay, you haven't prayed me, you haven't prayed, or you haven't done your religious obligation. That was for me. I may forgive you. Okay, you haven't done them. Let me forgive you for that. But the wrongs that we do to the people around us, whether they are our family, whether they are cousins, whether they are neighbors, people around us, how is God going to forgive you for the evil, or me, let's say for every one of us, how is He going to forgive us for the evils we have committed against the people around us? So if we have hurt somebody physically or mentally or in any other shape or form, how is God going to forgive us? So you have taken His rights, so you have got to ask for forgiveness from Him. So we've this connection that we spoke about earlier. So we need this connection especially in the month of Ramadan, we need this connection. We as Muslims, we as humans, we as, of course, British nationals living in the United Kingdom, we've got to create this connection with our Creator, but at the same time, we've got to create this connection with our creation as well, with His creation as well. So do remember, my brothers and sisters, we live in the United Kingdom. We don't live in, wherever countries that we come from. But it's very important that we create this connection between all the people that we're connected with. We cannot isolate ourselves to our homes, to our masajids, to our pray grounds. We've got to connect with people, try and understand, try and integrate, and perhaps maybe invite them and say, listen, this is who we are. We've got to be to some extent very tolerant, very accepting. But then we've got to create that connection before anything else. So that's very, very important. So there's a month of connection. So moving on from there, and before I continue, I'm reminding myself that you are listening to the Drive Time Show on Revive FM. The studio number is 0333 444 0940. We are also on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, MixLR, and TuneIn. And the website address is revivefm.co.uk. So the studio number again is 0333 444 0940. I'm sitting here in the studio, of course, talking about the month of Ramadan, which is started as of today. It is for me today. It is for a lot of people. It'll start tomorrow. So we wish you all the best as well. But as I'm sitting in the studio, I'm talking about, the things we can change, the things we can do to make our Ramadan better. I'm also hoping that there are people out there listening to me. They are looking at me in the studio. Do call me and tell me if I look good, and if my hair looks fine, it'll be good. Because I don't know if you're listening. If you are, then do give me a call at the studio and perhaps just ask us a question or tell me how I'm doing. It'll be very interesting to know because believe it or not, this is the first time I'm doing it, so I'm a bit nervous. So it'll be good to hear some encouragement from you guys as well who are listening. So before I continue, the number to call in is 0333 444 0940, and we are on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, MixLR and TuneIn, and our web address is revivefm.co.uk. Right, to continue. So we were on month of connection. So the next inshallah aspect of Ramadan on speaking about spirituality is that it's a month of charity as well. So I'm sure a lot of you out there who are listening to me, and I hope you're listening to me, inshallah, is that Muslims in the UK are the biggest, the most philanthropic, the most charitable nation or race in the UK. We of course constitute less than 5% of the UK population, but I think, if I'm not mistaken, we as a Muslim race, as a nation, Muslim believers, believers in Islam, in the UK, we gave something like over £200 million in charity last year alone, us. So we constitute less than 5%. To be very precise, I think it's about 3.8%, but we have given over £200 million in charity, whether they're local programs, whether they're international programs, whether they are to Muslim charities or otherwise, but then we have been very, very philanthropic. So that's a huge number. £200 million is what we have given out in charity as Muslims living in the UK. Even though we constitute only 5% of the Muslim population or the UK population. So it's a month of charity, and as we all know, of course, very important is that whatever inshallah you do in the month of Ramadan is not just. But it doesn't just benefit on core, but of course it benefits in multiple. So let's say if I give charity of £1 in the month of other than Ramadan, it's just £1. But when I do it in the month of Ramadan, it has much better. It has more value. It has sort of more essence. It has more belief. It has more strength. It reaches further. It's a promise from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he will make sure that I'm rewarded accordingly. So it's a month of charity. So make sure that we've got to make sure that we do give a lot of charity. So and on that note, I would also like to add, my brothers and sisters, that charity begins at home. You must have heard this previously. The charity begins at home, and when I'm saying charity begins at home, I'm not talking about the charities, the registered UK charities that are there, and then I'm saying, oh, charity begins at home. No. What I'm saying is charity does really begin at home. So let's say if you have got, I'm picking up a figure, plucking it out of the air, but if you've got £1,000 to give as your zakat this year, now, of course, you can. There are a number of things you can do. You can, give it to one of the international sort of NGOs, give it to them and say, "This is my zakat. Go and do whatever you need to be done with it." You can give it to an Islamic charity and say, "Okay, this is my zakat. Make sure it is zakatable, and make sure that no costs or no admin is taken from it, and it goes right to the beneficiary straight on." So that's the two things you can do. The third thing you can do, and which I believe we should all practice, is that charity begins at home. That's what I said earlier. So I'm pretty sure that all of us, the listeners out there, have got somebody within our families who is more deserving of our money than the people that we do not know. Now, try to understand what I'm saying. So let's say if I've got £1,000 and I've got this, I can give, of course, money to these charities that will, give money to very deserving people, no doubt about it. But if I've got those £1,000, and if I ask I'm just giving you again a very, very simple random example. I ask my wife and say, listen, or I ask people around me, my immediate cousins, my immediate aunties and uncles, and say, listen, I've got this money to give off or donate to somebody. Do you know somebody whose family your charity should begin at home. So I am very sure the first, there might be somewhere within your family, not everybody may be as mashallah, as well off as you. So look for somebody who's there, who may be deserving of your charity, and give the charity to them, so they be able to, maybe use the money better. But of course, I'm not taking anything away from the charities that are working out there. If you unfortunately, if you don't know anybody, you can donate to them, or you can spread your charity as well. So if you've got £1,000 to give off as charity this year, it may be zakat, sadaqah, whatever it may be. So just part it and say, okay, I'm going to give 1/3 to the local charity, 1/3 to the international NGO, and 1/3 to this auntie who lives in a remote town in my village back home. So there's no harm in doing it that, but it's a month of charity. So do make sure, inshallah, that your charity is as much as possible. And when I talk about charity as well, and when this brother was talking about charity as well, it was not just charity of your money, my brothers and sisters. When you're walking on the road, when you smile at this kid, when you smile at somebody, that's charity, because he or she may have had a very, very bad day, but your smile, may have changed and say, oh, thank you very much, you made my day. So that's a smile is a charity. You're picking up paper from the road, or something which is obstructing the road is charity. Let's say if there's a small stone on the middle of the road, you get out of the car and pick it up and say, let me just take it, throw it, so it doesn't bother anyone. That's charity as well. You're walking in the park, you see somebody hurt, and you pick them up and say, are you okay? You give them a bottle of water, a glass of water. That's charity as well. All this constitutes as charity. So do inshallah try and be a bit more charitable, inshallah. We should be all doing this charitable bit whenever we can, but be a bit more mindful and do a bit more this year in the month of Ramadan. So inshallah you're rewarded accordingly. Just a couple of more before we come to my the end of the changes that we can inshallah do. So the next is month of change. Month of change, like I said earlier. So it's how can we change ourselves to be better humans? Now mark my words, I'm saying better humans, not better Muslims. I've always had this I've always used a statement that it's very difficult. It's very easy to be a good Muslim, but it's very difficult to be a good human being. Once you become a good human being, who is who's probably good to people around us, and without any greed or anything in return, anything that he wants or he or she wants in return, that makes you a very good human being. So once you've become that, a good human being, becoming a good Muslim is very good, very, very simple then, because, what you have done is you've basically constituted, you've basically, incorporated or absorbed all the qualities of a good Muslim by being a good human being. Because once you're a good human being, being a good Muslim means what? Oh, you've got to, again, your connection to your Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, okay, you've got to pray, you've got to fast, you've got to give zakat, you've got to go for Hajj. Yeah, I'll do that. I'm already a good human being. So what I'm saying is, we have to try and change yourself, but at the same time try and change yourselves in a way that is good for people around us. Again, mark my words here, my brothers and sisters, if you're listening to me, because I don't know if you're listening to me because nobody has called me so far, but the moment you think or you place something on yourself, or you agree to yourself that, listen, I'm going to change myself and make myself a better Muslim, a better person for myself, for the people around me, for my neighbors, for my family, for my wife, for my husband, for my children, then becoming a good Muslim. There are people who might disagree with me. I completely understand, but I would like to hear those disagreements. So if you are out there, and in fact, there are people who are listening to me and saying, "Oh, this is, Salman is saying this wrong." No, so tell me, give me a call and tell me. I'm saying this, that to become a good Muslim is more difficult. No, I'm sorry. Becoming a good Muslim is easy. Becoming a good human being is difficult. Tell me about it. If you give me a call and let me know that, tell me, agree, disagree, or just let me hear it. What you're saying. So this it's a month of change, like I said earlier. I'm still waiting for your calls. Now, before I go on to the last two topics that I'm very briefly going to speak about, you're listening to the Revive FM Drive Time Show. We are sitting here in the studio, and our number is 0333 444 0940. I'll repeat that, 0333 444 0940. We're also on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, MixLR, and TuneIn. And you can also reach us via the web, which is revivefm.co.uk. I am your host for the Drive Time Show. My name is Salman, and I will be with you for the next 1 hour. And we are finally going to go on and speak about the last few topics before we conclude the topic on Ramadan. So the last two topics we're going to be speaking about is the month of purity. Now, purity. So purity, of course, is, you've got to be clean, you've got to be tidy, you've got to make sure that you're in a state of course, pureness, that you are able to carry out your religious or spiritual obligations as much as possible. Now, when it comes to purity, and funny enough, I was speaking about this to my sister the other day, and again, please do give me a call if what I'm about to say you think you don't agree with. Or even if you do agree with, because I think I want to hear from you as well. Right. So what we thought about was that, generally speaking, maybe the men out there who frequent the mosques more than women out there will agree with this, is that, generally speaking, we are not very clean when it comes to using public toilets. Now, it's a very, very touchy subject, but I am saying this, I've said it. I happen to visit a number of masajids in and around the country, in London, outside London, but it's very rare, maybe one time out of 10, that I would see a public, ablution area of wuzu khana which is clean, which is that, okay, I can stand there and do my wudu or do my ablution, in peace. Generally, what happens is I'm playing chess with my foot. I'm just walking in this maze which is water everywhere in this toilet. It's like somebody has actually stood outside and taken a shower. So the reason I'm saying, my brothers and sisters, this is the month of purity, right? So yes, we are talking about purity within ourselves, but again, being considerate of people around us. So when you walk or when you go into a public restroom, or not public restroom, but then maybe a masjid, especially in the month of Ramadan, right? First of all, when you go for your namaz or when you salah in your local masjid, try and do your ablution at home, try to do your wudu at home, and then of course walk to the masjid, so you're rewarded for that as well, because you're not wasting water. and of course, taking out time to prepare yourself to go for salah, whether it is Fajr, or Zohar, Maghrib, Isha, whatever that is. But when you go out and, for whatever reason, when you have to go out and read or use the wudu area for the masjid, please, I cannot beg, or rather I cannot request you enough. Try and use it as you would use your home bathroom as well. So do not stand in the common area and take a shower. You are just there to do wudu. In fact, I'll tell you something very interesting, and I'm sure somebody or few of you would relate to this as well in terms of wudu. And we are talking about month of purity, and that's how I'm linking in a few things. I happened to go to Marrakesh a few years ago with my wife and kids. And we went to the Grand Mosque. I don't remember if it was the Grand Mosque, but it was one of the larger mosques in the city. So it was Asr time. So we were out and actually sightseeing, and then we ended up at this masjid where I thought, okay, myself and my son will just go and or my wife and children would just go and pray Asr. I do remember it was Asr time anyway. So we went to the masjid and we asked where the wudu area was. So we were directed to a place behind the masjid, and we went there. And so it was a small, not small, but smallish, maybe I'd say by, let's say, 6 meter by 6 meter room, quite spacious in that essence as well. The ceilings were quite high, and there was this like you would see in an ablution area. So there were sort of sinks there, or deep sinks there, and then people were just sitting down and doing their wudu. But there was one very important thing missing in that wudu area, and that was a tap. There was no tap in that wudu area. Now, of course, you would question, is that okay? How are people doing wudu? So, there was this gentleman, this elderly gentleman, this buzurg, sitting at the end of, or at the start of the room, and he had sort of metal containers, which was maybe they a liter, one liter at the most of water, which will contain 1 liter. So he had these metal vessels. And if you go to them, I think you pay him something like 10p or something, and then you give him 10p, he will give you one of these vessels full of water, so 1 liter of water, and that's the only water you will get. So you are allowed, you are expected to, per person, 1 vessel. You go and sit anywhere, or if you find a space outside, go and do your wudu with that, and that's it. You come and return that vessel, and you would get that 10p back. So with 1 liter of water, 1 liter, maybe it sounds a lot, but 1 liter of water is nothing. Trust me, when you and I, when we go out, and especially to the masajid, and especially at home, when we put the tap on to do a wudu, trust me, you're wasting a few liters of water there. So with that 1 liter of water that this elderly gentleman gave me, myself and my son, one for him and one for myself. So we did our wudu very, very nicely. We did not waste any water. The whole water was used. And trust me, when it comes to that, washing our feet, we washed our feet very, very nicely. You would say, oh, no, it has to be completely wet. Wallahu alam. I'm not going to comment on the fiqhi part of doing wudu, but the 1 liter of water is more than sufficient for us to do wudu. So coming back to the topic, we were talking about the month of purity. So of course, we want to be clean, we want to be pure, we want to be nice and tidy ourselves in our personal capacity. But please, I request my brothers and sisters who are listening to me that when you go out and go, especially in the month of Ramadan, when you go out to the masajids, when you go out and use the masjid facilities, try to be more considerate, try to be a bit more cautious in what you're doing and how you're doing it. When you go out to the masajids, make sure you use your the wudu area correctly, very tidily. You throw the tissues that you have used. If you've dropped water on the floor, wipe it. I'm sure there would be a mop around, at least in my masjid there is. There's a mop around, so if I drop it, I'd make sure that I wipe it. The floor is not wet. When I go out into the masjid, the salah area, if I'm using a bottle of water, especially at the time of Taraweeh, I take that bottle of water with me and not leave it. And again, coming to the bottle of water, try and take it from home, because you would be saving somebody else who may have not. Try and take it your bottle of water from home, so it'll be much easier for you as well. So you can sort of, or maybe even take an energy drink from home. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Even ruh afza, that's something which we use quite frequently. So even ruh afza, that'll give you some energy, some sugar. That's what you need. So the month of purity, purity within ourselves, purity around us, purity at the places that we use. So that's the month of purity. Finally, coming to the month of taqwa. So I'm sure you've heard this word taqwa a number of times. So yes, it is a name as well. Some people might be thinking, yes, taqwa is a name. Taqwa effectively means to be fearful, to be considerate, to be a bit more mindful of what we are doing. This is in consideration with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when I've got taqwa, it means that I'm more cautious of the presence of the Almighty around me. So if I want to do something wrong, and if I say no, I'm not going to do it because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching me, it is my taqwa which has stopped me from doing it. It is the fear of being seen by the ruler of the universe, that I'm doing something wrong and I don't want to shame myself. So that's taqwa. It's a month of taqwa as well, my brothers and sisters. So we should try and understand more. What is it that my Creator wants from me? Is my being, my existence, very ordinary? Is it just out of nowhere? Am I supposed to be doing nothing? Am I just supposed to exist without being beneficial to anyone, or without creating anything which may be beneficial to perhaps not myself, but maybe not even my children, but my children's children? Maybe. Why not? So it's a very, very important time for us to have this taqwa because don't forget, my brothers and sisters, taqwa not just means that you were fearful of not doing something which is wrong, but you were also cautious. You were also you identified that I'm going to do this something, create something, invent something, make something which is going to be pleasing to the God Almighty, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and which is going to benefit the rest of the mankind for the rest of the time in this on planet Earth. So that's what it is. We've got to come out, perhaps out of our shell, so to speak, and maybe start thinking out of the box, and thinking about a bit more widely about things, and say, how is it that we can be better humans, better people, and perhaps benefit people around us. So it's a month of taqwa as well. So finally talk about what is it that the month of Ramadan expects from us, inshallah. So it's a month of Quran where, of course, we should try and develop our relationship with the Quran a bit more, not just sort of parrot reading, but try and understand what we're reading. Even if you read a page, my brothers and sisters, my suggestion would be just read one page, but try and read it with not just transliteration, but translation, and try to understand what you have read. And this goes out to myself as well. Don't, under no circumstances I'm saying I know this, but it's very important that what we have read on the Quran, we try and understand it, and we try to reflect on it. Very, very important, because don't read it like a parrot, because it's not going to benefit anyone. Definitely not yourself, neither is it benefiting anybody else, because you've not understand a single word you have read. So try and create this month of Quran by understanding the Quran you're reading. So it's a month of reflection on yourself, self-reflection. What is it? Where was I 12 months down or 12 months earlier, and where am I today? What have I achieved in the last 11 months? So it's a month of reflection. So make sure that you initiate something now, which is going to be in the case of self-reflection in 12 months or 11 months down the road, the next Ramadan, which is in 2020, when you sit down and reflect on this Ramadan, you think, there we go, I've achieved something, because I thought of this last Ramadan, I set myself some goals and I've achieved them, and in the last 11 months I've been able to integrate and incorporate those in my lifestyle. Month of mercy. So month of mercy was about, of course, forgiving. You are merciful, you are forgiving, and of course you are ready to inshallah mend those relationships, those breakages that have caused you to perhaps caused you a lot of pain, a lot of sorrow, a lot of unhappy moments. So maybe it's a time for you to forgive them and say, okay, forget about this. This happened 6 years ago. When I went for this wedding and my aunties, uncles, sons, daughters, mother didn't look at me. Forget about that. It's happened 6 years ago. Even if it happened 6 months ago, or 6 hours ago, or 6 minutes ago, forget it. Forgive them. It's okay. Life will go on. They will go on. You will go on. But trust me, this moment gone, it will not come back. So use this moment. Work on this moment. Right. Month of correction. So month of correcting ourselves, my brothers and sisters. So like I said, it's a month of correction. We correct ourselves. We self-reflect. We identify, and we say to ourselves, listen, I'm going to become a better human, better person from now onwards. And inshallah, bi-idhnillah, we will, I will carry this on until I can. Personally speaking, a bad habit becomes normality after a few months. For me, if I start a good habit today, it'll become normality after 2 weeks as well. So think of it that way, because it becomes much easier when you, inshallah, when you set your goals and set your the things that you want to achieve, inshallah. So months of connection as well, my brothers and sisters. Months of connection. So you're connecting with who? You're connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who is the creator, but you're connecting with also the people around you who are his creation. Creation, I'm not saying Muslims, I'm saying creation. So anybody around you, if you're listening in your car, if you're listening while you're walking, if you're listening while you're on the train, wherever you're listening at home, the people around you, the people that you see on TV, the people that you see while you're driving, the people you see on your tube are all his creation. He has created them. He has promised them just like he's promised you. What happens to them? It is not anybody's problem. we are not there to justify or judge their existence. That is only God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Almighty, nobody else. So treat them with respect, treat them with integrity, treat them with love. And trust me, it'll come back to you. So it's a month of charity as well, my brothers and sisters. Month of charity. So be a bit more charitable, mashallah. We are a very, very charitable nation in the UK. We try to be, we give a lot in charity. So we should continue giving out in charity as much as possible. But the lesson here was try and think inside the box, literally. Inside your family, I'm sure you will have people who are much in need, who are deserving. Use them or use your money to help them. Trust me, they will give you some sincere du'as, sincere prayers that will take you a long way, inshallah. We also spoke about month of change and month of purity. So month of change is, inshallah, of course, you better yourself and you change yourself to being better human beings. And in the month of purity, we spoke about, your month of purity is not about, purity is not about just yourself, but purity is about everything around you. So when you go to masajids, when you go to somebody's house, make sure that you use their facilities, wherever you are, as you would use at home. I don't think you would, if you go at home and if you go to do wudu in your bathroom, you would come out as if you've taken a shower out there when you've just done wudu. So make sure you use the same principle when you go out to masajids, especially in masajids, because trust me, a lot of masajids in the UK do not have a lot of manpower to clean those toilets, but even then somebody has to clean the dirt we have left behind. So I would request all of us, when we go out and meet the masajid or use the masajid facilities, use it with consideration, use it with sincerity, that this is my own, let me just use it the way I would use my services at home. And finally, my brothers and sisters, the month of taqwa. So the month of taqwa is about, of course, our agreement or our understanding that we are being watched and we are not going to do anything wrong which will be displeasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we will do something which is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So taqwa is not just about the displeasurement, but also pleasurement. So if we can do something which is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the understanding that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching me and I'm being sort of seen as to do something good by the Rabbil Alameen, why not? Let me do it so he can watch me, and that is taqwa as well. Right, my brothers and sisters. So we have come. I have shared some golden words with you that I learned over the last few days, in fact, because what had happened was I attended this lecture by a very, very good friend of mine, and with his permission, I used his content for this radio program. So I hope we have all benefited, inshallah, from this. You are listening to the Revive FM Drive Time Show. I am your host, Salman Mujtaba. My number is 0333 444 0940. We are on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, MixLR, and TuneIn, and also revivefm.co.uk. The number again, 0333 444 0940. You can call and speak to me. I've been sitting here for the last over an hour. I've not had a single call, which is quite disappointing, because I was hoping that somebody out there would at least give me a call and say, listen, what you said about this was wrong and this is how you could have done it better. So I would appreciate those calls. In fact, I would really admire those calls because, believe it or not, or maybe it's quite evident, but this is my first time ever on radio. I've never done a radio show before, and I'm very, very excited. I'm very honored to be here, to be able to share my experiences of perhaps different things. So this is the drive time show, my brothers and sisters. So what will happen perhaps, today was the first day of Ramadan. I had prepared a program or prepared some content in consideration to, of course, today being the first day of Ramadan. So perhaps I will be your host, inshallah, every Monday from 5 onwards. We will talk about different things. So like I was saying earlier, so today was the first day of Ramadan. This was the content for this. But next week, I'm thinking of doing some, whenever I come, inshallah, going forward, Monday, on every Monday, 5 to 7, inshallah, I will talk about different topics. I really want to, in fact, I was speaking to the producer earlier, I want to pick up some topics which are perhaps not very widely spoken about. I want to be able to speak to my viewers and my listeners about children with special needs. In our community, it's something which is a taboo. People don't talk about it. I want to be able to talk about perhaps the khutbahs at masajids which are being given. So not perhaps the what they're saying, but is it really relevant? Think about it. Is what the khatib or the imam or the sheikh saying in a Friday khutbah, is it really relevant? If it's not relevant, you have the right to ask the khatib and say, listen, can you speak about things which are more relevant to us? So this is something which I want to talk about as well. I also want to talk about social media. So social media is yes, by all means, and again, as a parent of 3 children, social media is something very, very beneficial. Something which is going to perhaps, which has transformed technology when it comes to information sharing in the last, especially 4 or 5 years, maybe even 10 years. So it's something very good, but it's a nuisance as well. I think personally, it has withdrawn, it has distanced parents with their children and vice versa. In fact, somebody it was on somewhere I saw that there was a celebrity and she said, the cause of my distance with my children is the social media. Okay, so I think we've got a call. Okay. Assalamu alaikum caller, this is Salman.
My name is Uzair.
Uzair, how are you, Uzair?
Alhamdulillah, good. I've got one question. You pointed out earlier on the show that to be a good, it's harder to be a good human than a good Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is, how can you be a good Muslim if you're not a good human?
Very good. No, I think Uzair, thank you very much. So first of all, I have to thank you because you're my first and only caller of the show. So at least I've got this contentment that somebody is listening to me. Uzair, where are you calling from anyway?
Hal.
You're calling from Hal, mashallah. Okay, very good. How's the weather up there in Hal? Are you fasting today, by the way?
Yeah, alhamdulillah.
Mashallah, very good, very good. Excellent. Excellent. So to answer your question, Uzair, it's a very, very good question, and maybe it came out incorrectly. So yes, when you're trying to be a good human, It's very difficult to be a good human. It's easier to be a good Muslim. That's what I meant. Because to be a good Muslim, what you've got to do is, of course, your obligations to your Lord, to the your obligations to the Creator, to Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. You are able to do them, and you're able to, carry them very nicely. But then, when it comes to being a good human, you've got to, those are the things which you've got to do for people around you. I don't know whether you were listening, but then, you've got to be honest, you've got to be, mindful of people around you, you've got to be tolerant, you've got to be accepting. So those are the things we really shy around. I'm talking about myself. When I go out and I don't care about, people, what they're doing, I'm a good Muslim, but yes. So I think the answer to your question, my brother, was that I think we've got to be a very good, we've got to make sure that we're carrying out the obligations of the Creator as well as the creation at the same time. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, I've got just one more question.
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Piece of advice, actually.
Sure.
There's a stigma, especially in the Muslim community, that I've noticed.
Uh-huh.
A small amount of people that I've been with, that when it comes to someone else, it doesn't matter about him. Let's just do what's easy for us. It doesn't matter if the next person make their life difficult, for example.
Sure.
So how do we overcome that stigma? What's the best way to go about that? And how do we, when someone says that, what's the best response we should give?
Without being the agony aunt here, but then I think, one of the things which we don't do and again I'm saying as probably humans first and Muslims later, is that we do not put interest of other people first. We say, listen, we've got to make sure that we are benefiting ourselves, and if there's no benefit in this for us, we won't do it. So I think again there's and inshallah, the next time I come online, Uzair, I will quote some hadiths as well, so which are relevant to this. But I think there are some very, very relevant hadiths that you try and live for other people. Of course, whatever has been written for you, you will get it, inshallah. But then try and make a change for other people, so that they lead a better life, and inshallah, you are rewarded in the process as well. But that's a very, very good point, Azhar. Thank you very much.
Jazakallah.
Barakallah feek, Sheikh. Inshallah, I speak to you soon. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, so that was our caller, Uzair, and he had some very, very good questions. One was that how can we be better Muslims if we are not better human beings? That's a very, very good point, and for something for us to reflect upon as well. The point I was trying to make earlier, maybe it did not come out correctly, was that we've got to have a very, very good balance between being a good Muslim but being a good human being as well. In any shape or form, when you don't carry out your obligation of a creator for the Creator and your obligation to the creation, if you don't do either one of them correctly, or if you do just one and don't do the other, in any shape or form, you are on the wrong track. You have got to be able to say, listen, I know what my Creator wants from me, but I know what my creation wants from me, my Creator's creation wants from me as well. So, yes, I'm going to do both of them, and I'm going to do them as sincerely as possible. So that's one thing. That's a very, very good point raised by Uzair. And the other was that the point Uzair raised was that, how can we put the interest of ourselves or put the interests of others before ourselves? So I think that comes through, of course, our religion tells us, the deen of Islam tells us enough about this, that listen, try and live for other people. Whatever risk is written for you, you will get it, but then try and help other people. Let's say that there are various hadiths, and again, unfortunately, I'm not a student of theology, so I don't know much about the hadiths, but there are hadiths, and again, I can dig them out if need be for anyone. So very, very good questions, Uzair. And Uzair was my one and only caller. So Uzair, you get the thumbs up from me if you're looking at me. But if you're not looking at me, Barakallah Feek, Sheikh, for taking our time to give us a call. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make your fasting easy, inshallah. So again, final few minutes. So you are listening to the Revive FM, and you can call in just like Uzair did. The studio number is 0333 444 0940. We are also on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, MixLR, and TuneIn. And our website is revivefm.co.uk. The studio number again, let me repeat it, 0333 444 0940. You can call in and speak to me directly. This is the Drive Time Show. I'm going to be your host, Salman, every Monday from 5 to 7, post Ramadan as well and during Ramadan as well. So if you want to, for me so what we would do in essence is speak about different topics, inshallah. Today was the first day of Ramadan, so we just, I spoke about different things, the way to, inshallah, achieve a better and a better rewarding Ramadan, inshallah, for all of us. In case if you want me to speak about anything specific, do give me a call on maybe if today, if you can, if not maybe next Monday. I am going to be speaking. Maybe I'll prepare something around a different topic. Maybe it's not to do with religion, spirituality. Maybe it's a generic topic. Maybe it's a topic that needs to be discussed upon. But that's how it will be run. It's very exciting for me, actually, brothers and sisters, because this is my first ever hosting opportunity on a radio. I've never been on radio before, but I think the guys here, the producers and the directors and the guys here, the team, have made it quite easy for me, because I don't feel that this is the first time I'm doing it. I feel like I feel like I've done it before, but things are coming out not right. So you do have to excuse my inexperience there. I'm not a competent DJ or RJ or host, so I will learn it over time. And with your guidance and assistance, I will make it the best show I can, inshallah. So we just go for a very, very quick break, and then when we come back, we will conclude the program for today. But let's go for a break, and I'll see you in a bit.
को मुजदानार का ए दुश्मनाने अहल बैत किस शक़ी की है हुकूमत हाय क्या अंधेर है किस शक़ी की है हुकूमत हाय क्या अंधेर है दिन दिहाड़े हो रहा है इम्तिहाने अहल बैत दिन दिहाड़े हो रहा है इम्तिहाने अहल बैत तुमको मुजदानार का ए दुश्मनाने अहल बैत उनकी पाकी का खुदाए पाक करता है बयां उनकी पाकी का खुदाए पाक करता है बयां आया तत्हीर से ज़ाहिर है शान अहल बैत तत्हीर से ज़ाहिर है शान अहले बैत तुम को मुजदा नार का ए दुश्मनाने.
Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, my listeners and viewers. This is your host Salman, and you're listening to Revive FM. Our studio number is 0333 444 0940. You are listening to the Drive Time Show, so you can call in and speak to me as well directly. It's 0333 444 0940. We are also on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, MixLR, and TuneIn, and our web address is revivefm.co.uk. So this is the Drive Time Show. Like I said earlier, what happens on the show is we pick up different topics and we talk about them in the next or the duration of the program. Today's topic was, of course, based around Ramadan, which started off today being the first day of the first Roza or first fasting day of Ramadan. It's going to be perhaps first day tomorrow for a lot of people. We wish them all the best as well, inshallah. And we pray that inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes this Ramadan as rewarding, as spiritual as possible for all of us, the ones who are listening to us, the ones who are watching us, and it is inshallah a source of achievement for all of us, inshallah. So we are in the last segment of the program. Before I sign off, just to let you know that inshallah I'm going to be here every Monday from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Drive Time Show, and I'll be speaking about different things. I've not come to the decision on what I'm going to be speaking about next week, Monday 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. But it might be a subject which will be very close to all our hearts, which we want to speak about, but perhaps have not been able to speak about. So I would maybe request that you do tune in, whether on Facebook or directly, and speak to us, ask me questions, tell me why am I saying this, or even just to let me know that, oh Salman, that's a very, very good topic you've picked up. So at least we are all encouraged here. So until then, I would like to beg leave, but thank you very much for listening, and thank you to my brother Uzair, who called me all the way from Hull, because at least I was encouraged that somebody is listening to me and it's not just myself talking to myself. So thank you very much, and I will see you and speak to you next Monday, which will be the 13th of May 2019 at 5 p.m. on the Drive Time Show. Thank you. Goodbye. Assalamu alaikum.
बेअदब गुस्ताख फिर के को सुना